Okay, everybody, so I guess I should be probably recording this more often, but right now I'm working on font rendering. I thought I was going to go ahead and do just GUI clicking and stuff, but I was like, I want to get some font on the screen so I can see frame rate, tick rate, other information, so I started working on this. Now, it didn't go as planned. As you see, here's my font thing, and I have to now create a data object for it because the ideal was I was just going to import a bitmap font, and then it would just know where the characters were on the bitmap using an example I found. The example is missing steps because the font bitmap that you export doesn't do what it's supposed to do. Um, the ideal is that we create locations on the bitmap where we go, hey, this is character A, B, and C. And the ideal is you're iterating from between 0 and 255, and that's the number of characters you're supposed to have, although that is clearly not the number of characters that are on the sheet. And then what you do is when you go to render, you break the thing down into a char length, though they did something a little slightly different, but either way resulted in the same result. The characters were not lining up. I can show this here if you give me a second. I just need to comment this out, and I need to reset my file path real quick so I can show why it's not working currently. I also need to IntelliJ wants to be weird right now. For some reason, IntelliJ still hasn't been programmed to figure out that when you're pasting in a file path that it needs to transition to the other way system, but we'll go ahead and launch it real quick and I'll show you what I've got right now. I mean, it does render. It took a little bit to get it to render correctly. I was having issues with scaling and stuff, but I had to implement my own texture sheet system. Hold on. How did it stop this from running? You know, I can just do this real quick. It's probably one of the easiest ways to do a whole bunch of things. Although be careful if you ever program using this, because if you leave stuff commented out too long, like I saw everything grayed out below me, IntelliJ will kill your imports if you have auto import turned on and off. We'll go ahead and launch the game again. Between last video, I also did work on the GUI some more. I've got alpha transparent buttons here, which are not rendering stuff behind them properly, but that's okay. I've worked on ability bar, so this middle bar here is your ability bar. I still have to do some thinking of how this is going to exactly work. As my brother pointed out, I've got a lot of blank space around here, although there will be a health bar and a shield bar somewhere over here. Plus there'll be health bars and shield bars over here. There will also be a movement tracker and an action tracker. So the movement tracker will track your how many movement spaces you have left, and your action tracker will have how many actions you have left. And those two will not be independent from each other as they will affect each other. So if you do an action, your movements will go down slightly. And if you move, your actions will go down slightly. So if you can do like 5 actions and move 10 spaces, if you move like, say, 5 spaces, you're going to lose an action point because your character's taking time. Because the ideal, we don't track fatigue or anything like that, although your stamina does come into play in certain checks, but not for movement, or not for how your character does movement and actions. The ideal is that it's time-based. Every single turn is supposed to be 5 seconds of real-world time, is what it's equivalent to. That's how D&D does its thing. Our equivalency may not be precisely. We're not actually going to state that in the game itself. We're just going to say, okay, it's turn A, turn B, and this is how many actions you got left. But how it equates is that 5 seconds. But yeah, I've also got the enemy thing over here, using just basic icons for this. But enemies you have left to fight will show up here. But as you can see in the middle, here's the text I'm trying to work on. This should say hello, is what this should say. That is not what it's doing. And if I open up my texture sheet and we sit here and we look at it, H is somewhere right here, yet we're rendering that. E is right here, but we're rendering L. L is right here, but we're rendering E. And then O is here, but we're rendering bracket. And there's no correlation between these spaces, which is telling me this character sheet here is not set up to just read standard characters. There's some component I'm missing to tell how this works. And the tutorial I have just does not have any information explaining how this works. It just says we're going to import this and then we're going to do things, and that's it. And I'm like, okay. So we're going to go ahead and save this, or not save that rather, and we're just going to do this the hard way. Now the hard way is literally just telling the thing exactly what character I have and then how wide it is. And then the index is by default, this is line 2. So line 2 would be index 1, which would actually be position 0. In our position 0 space, I've actually opened up my text again because I didn't mean to close it. That's our space. Our next one is our exclamation mark, our quotes, our pound sign, our money sign, percent, etc. And we just got to sit here and input all this data. So by default, I'm literally just going to go through and just going to type all the characters in as I see them. Yeah, this has some special handling in it. This shouldn't be doing what it's doing. Okay, percent, and then and, comma, this is essentially old school way of doing it. Now there is a better way to do this. The reason I'm doing it the hard way is I want to learn how to do this on my own. There is an importance to doing things the hard way at least once in your lifetime, just so you know what the work it took to do it originally, and you kind of get a sense of being grateful that somebody out there has spent days of their life creating a library for you to use that does this for you. In the case, there is a library, it's called STB. I'm not fully familiar with it, but from what I've read, you can use it to just render font files. So I can provide it with a Times New Roman font file. And actually, I don't think I even have to provide a file. Most operating systems will already come included with it. So I could just go, hey, I want Times New Roman, which this over here, this text is Gothic, I believe is what it is. It's the default exported font from this program I used. The program is CBG something. I'll open it up real quick and show you guys. So it's CBFG, which is somebody's font generator. There's probably better ones out here. This is the output it gives me. Over here you see the same thing pretty much. There's settings you can manipulate in here. I don't fully understand the settings on it because I haven't really messed with it too much myself. I'm trying to figure out how to get more characters on here because it's missing accent characters for Spanish language and stuff. Which isn't important right now because the game is going to be English until we get to somewhere near a release date, and then I'll probably hire translators. But it kind of shows that the text format is not exactly complete, which is not exactly good. But so far, it's not missing anything special. It has about everything on it. I don't know what this W character is. It's some kind of something. What is that character? Sitting here looking at my keyboard trying to find something that would be anywhere close. What we're going to do is we're going to call this the grave key, just because I need to be able to load the file, and if I'm missing anything, it'll load incorrectly. So, and then here's our minus, and that's all of our characters, and then I need to go down through and paste the width into everything. What I'll do is I'll come back through here later, probably off camera, and I'll adjust the width. This is going to be used to tell me how wide these characters actually are. That way, when I go to render the text, rather than every single one being 32 spaced apart, it'll try to get them a little closer to each other. That way, it looks a little nicer. But right now, I'm not worried about that. That's a superficial thing that can wait till later. But yeah, we're gonna do this. This is hard way. Luckily, this isn't as big as one of my other texture sheets. If I actually open up my other thing, I got this one. This is, actually I need to open up in GIMP. This is a different program's texture sheet. This is the first one I actually tried. This is where I figured out that things were very wrong with my data. If I pull GIMP over to here. So in this case, when I went to go do H, I was getting V. I went to go do E, I was getting AE all the way down here. This is the one where I say it's got the accent characters. I've got all the ones I can use for German language, Spanish language. We've got defined symbols down here. It's got a whole bunch of missing characters in here, which tells me that there's stuff missing out of that font system. But it does include lowercase, which is something I do need in my font system. It also has squiggly brackets, which I don't know if I think that one has squiggly brackets. It has a grave key, which is important actually. Some of this rest of the stuff is not as important. I would like a copyright symbol so I can do the for the copyright claims on the front screen, but I'll probably just make texture files for those. Anything that I know is going to have a consistent text, I'm probably just going to have my artist input into the file itself. I've read a couple strategies on doing font rendering too, where people said just cache your font. If you know you're going to be doing rendering the same font every single time, just literally cache a texture locally. So generate it, then output that texture to the file, then load it back in. That way you're not recalculating every single time. But in this case, I am recalculating every time. I'm rendering the text the same way I render my tiles. It's essentially, there's a square. That square is made up of 2 triangles, and each one of those is the same thing. It's not the best for performance, but it does work. So this should load in. Width is not used currently, but if we can get the character positions correctly, that is good enough for me. So we're going to close this down, and we're going to revert the changes we made in here. So I need to get rid of that. Okay, that's the text file, and this should load. String index out of range. Font render line 67. Okay, we want to do this real quick. I need to keep track of what line I'm on. And then do this real quick. Errored, reading line, and then plus line. Okay. Line 13. So if we open up our tabletop game again, resources, gotta do that later here. Textures, GUI, fonts, font text. Line 13. Oh, you know what? You see this right here? That is going to be a problem. Control F, this. Replace all with space pretty much. Place all, okay. We are literally gonna have to just kind of play this by, yeah, we're gonna have to do this the hard way. I hate doing things the hard way here. It's just seems every step I take it's hard way. So we want character dot space. So it wants character dot space separator. Hopefully this actually will turn into a char. I think it will. No, we're gonna Google this real quick. And Taz, none of the whining. It seems every time I do a recording, my dog is like, "Hey, I want your attention." I actually do play with this dog quite often, although I think right now she wants fed. So Java separate by space. I usually have to look this up often because I don't do it enough. And there's a special way you have to split by spaces. Yeah, this is what I'm looking for right here. So you can't just do this, you can't just do that because it won't recognize that properly because of how it does things. I actually need to paste that simple. There we go. And then if we run it again, Okay, error it on line 1. Okay, yeah, we can't separate them by space either. I know how we can do it. This is going to take me a second to think of how to think it through, but so we know that at char 0 is our character. So we need to take our buffer line, get our character at 0. Then for this one, we need to go buffer.substring, and then I believe 2, and then buffer.length, and this should work. What I'm basically doing is I'm grabbing the first character, then I'm skipping the next character, starting at position 2. So 0 position is our first character, 1 position is that space separator, and then 2 is our starting point for our rest of our string. Error reading line 64. Line 64? I don't think our file goes that far, does it? It does, actually, surprisingly. Number format exceptions. So right here we're getting an issue. Settings, language, encoding. Trying to remember how to show certain characters. Like there is a way to render characters in here, and I think that might be what's wrong. Because it's got an extra space on here, so we need to actually do this, and then the easiest way to do this is just called trim, I think, and it should fix itself. Okay, so it is working, although the text isn't there. Ignore that part. The part I need to fix is down here where it's not getting the correct object. So what we need is char data, char font data. My brother's not gonna get food out of the oven. Some days it feels like I'm the only person in the house that actually does work, which is maybe selfish to say, but it is very often that things will happen and then nobody will do anything, like nobody will budge. And then I have to get up and do things, and then they then yell at me and say I'm the one that's lazy, when the reality of it is that they're the ones that don't really seem to want to do anything. So if data doesn't equal null, if data equals null, what we want to do is go data equals char map dot get. Then we want to get we'll just get the thing for period. So if we ever have an issue where the data isn't showing up, then we'll go like, yeah, then we'll get the mesh, because there should always be a mesh for that character. If there isn't, then there's something else is wrong. The rest of this code should work. Why? Planning has failed is what has just happened. Okay. So, fuck, I gotta go get his food, because if he's not gonna get it, it's gonna burn and catch on fire. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for that. I started smelling smoke, and I'm like, God damn it, I'm gonna have to go grab it. Brothers are over there playing some kind of Call of Duty style shooter. It's nuclear something, I think. Actually, I can check this. Dirty Bomb is what it is. So yeah, it's a shooter game, basically Overwatch, even though he doesn't want to admit it. It's about the same style of game. So we messed something up. Could be our UV positions. Because when we generate our mesh, yeah, let's do some debug here. It could be our UVs here. So I made these off the simple ideal that how UV should work, although it isn't perfect, and there's probably something wrong with it. It's more than likely something wrong with it because I don't normally do UVs. I don't normally do render data, period. I like to work with prefabs that already exist, that I can just go, hey, I want to render this, and it usually works. Minecraft's so beautiful for that. So let's see. Something in here is not functioning properly, and I need to, we're going to do this char font data equals char map.get at position I. And then we just want to go system, oh, we don't want to go system. Well, yeah, we have to do system.out, system.out.println data. And then we need to go down here. If you don't put a toString and you print it out, you're not going to get any useful information. So we got here, and this will be char font data, and we just want to print the char. And then, no, actually in here we also want to do the index. Maybe this is the problem, because the weird thing is chars are technically bytes, is what they are. And the get call is an integer, and it might be auto-casting. Just to be safe, I'm going to do that. Actually, I can actually do... Oh, well, actually, let's not do that. So this should, in theory, work. You know what? I just noticed that. No, wait, that's right. That is correct. I was like, wait, maybe it's that I'm using I in place of that. No, I clearly have not had enough coffee today. Okay, so this won't work though. Could really quickly store. Let's do this real quick. Private char font data. We'll just call it font data. Equals new char font data 255. Or 256 actually, because there's only a maximum of that many values. And we just go like font data dot line -1 equals data. And then if we call down here, font data dot I, we should be able to see what this is doing. And we're going to just basically go right to that point. So we're going to hit debug. Okay, that's our space. If we move down, this texture coordinates look good. So that's 0 to 1.25. Actually, you know, it seems a bit high. That might be the problem. Okay, so I know this sheet is 255 by 255, but these are supposed to be 32s by 32s. That might be a bit big. So, you know, I want to re-export the texture sheet with grid markers on it. So we're going to open this up. Okay, it shows the grid here. Can we export with the grid? It says the cell height is 32 and the cell width is 32. Can I alpha the background? I cannot alpha the background. Okay. Wonder what's in this. Font data. Google Drive, go the way. So we're gonna go to my desktop real quick. Desktop. Because if that CV file actually contains all the font data in it, then I'd kind of be a little happy because then I don't have to manually read this stuff in. Or rather, I still have to manually read it in, but oh wow, look at that. Image width, image height, cell width, cell height, start char 32, font name, font height, font width, 0 is default, font height is 20. What is base width though? So it tells us what chart, so it's like chart these so and so. And this should contain 255 values, so it does. And it gives me all my Y positions, so there's no Y offset needed. Wow. If I could read this file, and this would save me a bit of time. The weird thing is, you notice this contains 255 values, but then the sheet we exported does not actually contain that many. And it has data in here, and this data is not the same for some of these, which leads me to believe that it does have information on the texture sheet. Why can't I get all the characters then? Tools, help, font, view. We do new reset, that doesn't give me anything.
User joined your channel. Microphone activated.
Hey Gregor, welcome to the dev thing, etc.
Oh, hi.
Microphone muted.
Huh. This is a lot more complicated than it should be. Okay, that doesn't seem to do anything. So what if I do a bigger sheet? Wait, what is this? Did we discover magic? Okay, so I went to a bigger sheet and all the other characters that I'm missing are now here. Okay, so let's go down to 512 by 512. Okay. we've got more characters. If we go to 1,000, okay, we don't need 1,000, so we're going to stay at 512, and then we're going to go to 1,000 here just to make sure that we're not missing any characters. Cool. So there's the characters I'm missing. So we figured that out, and we've got the CV data. So we're going to file export as BIMP map. Override existing. Okay. So that's good. And our cells are 32 pixels by 32 pixels. Anyways, I'm going to pause this video here, and then I'll work on it more, and I'll get back to everything. Okay, I'm back, so I want to get myself some form of energy drink, some food. My brain's functioning a little better, so let's get back to working on this font. So I redid my math down here. I looked at a tutorial that's supposed to do the font render, same one I've been using for this entire thing. I tried to use their UVs, which is what these are. These are UV coordinates. Anytime I use their UVs, everything's upside down. So I went and fixed them and got my UVs correct. Their version, yeah, basically was an invert of what I've got here. And I even tested it on the normal game. It turned everything upside down in the normal game. So because everything in the normal game render is correct side up, I'm going to use the same texture coordinates I've been using for everything, and then just kind of keep flowing with it. Eventually I'll figure out why it is that their system is different than mine, but right now the ideal is we're going to get this working. So one thing I just did test, actually let's hit Control Z and I'll run it real quick and I can show that it sort of is working. So it is rendering, the text is right side up so we can see it. It is a little bit skewed because, I mean, it's small. This is due to the fact I forgot to reset the size here. Sizes are manually entered, that way if somebody comes through and redoes all my textures for like a resource pack like Minecraft has available, it'll auto resize. Minecraft does something similar. We're getting closer. Still the wrong information though. So it's supposed to be printing hello, and if you notice it does do a character, double character, and then I'm assuming there's another character back there, but it's rendering a space for some reason. So now we got to figure out why it is that our character position data is incorrect, and we're going to work on that here in a second. So the trick is, how do we know which one of these is incorrect? So we've got a system that reads in texture sheets. It just reads in from the start to the end. And then we've got a system down here that reads in an array that then each of these characters has a position that's supposed to correlate to this. Now, is this information wrong or is this information wrong? Do I need to convert this or do I need to readjust this? That's a really big question and it's hard to answer. Let's go look at our CV data, because I got this CV data saved. And I'm trying to figure out what this information says. So we've got a height. We've got some kind of start char. So our first char is apparently char 32. I wonder if we can edit this to do start char 0. No, where's that tutorial I was looking at? Click it open here, and I'm going to scroll through it real quick. I'll scroll through with you guys being able to see it. Okay, this is it. Basically it's a book on game development. I stumbled across it while looking up how to do things. I'm working on HUD here. It's got everything in here, and I've been scrolling through various pieces. And I've kept a link to it in the game folder because there's things like fog in here. Fog is something I want to do, although this is a three-dimensional game. After all, their game is pretty much Minecraft is what they're working on. This is the reason why I can't use most of their stuff, because most of their stuff assumes a three-dimensional coordinate system. This is the reason why my coordinates probably don't work properly with theirs. They build meshes and stuff, but I'm trying to figure out how they determine the char position. So they get a byte out of the char, and then they convert that to the column and row. Do we do that down here somewhere? We don't do that. But we shouldn't have to because we're storing this in an array. So we go right here, and if we just do this byte char equals chars.I, we have something similar. And we need to change this to C actually. These are supposed to be convertible. What are they doing differently up here? They actually do something differently if I recall right. Yeah, right here. This is what they do differently. They convert to some kind of format. I was unsure what this was. We're going to switch to this, and if this fixes it, I actually will be pretty thrilled because then I'll have text to render on screen. Which is a really, really big thing in game development, is I was actually considering could I possibly do things. As you notice, it didn't really change anything. So whatever this doesn't do squat. So, we're doing the same thing they're doing. They're not shifting their arrays at any at all. I've seen some other examples that will shift their array by like 4. And what they do is they build up a mesh for the text that they're building, and see how they've got different UVs and stuff going on here to get all the different position data. We don't have that available because what I'm doing different than him is instead of just building a mesh per text I'm rendering, because what he does is he generates the mesh, he renders it, then disposes of all the data behind it. I'm generating caching and then reusing that cache over and over again because the character data doesn't change at all. So if I'm rendering tons of text on screen, I don't want to be regenerating tons of meshes and then disposing of them because that, in theory, is bad. Although in reality, I'm not quite sure. So there's something I'm missing here. Now he's got his own shaders for everything, which is probably the reason why his text actually does render where mine doesn't, is that he's got a projection matrix just for the text, and he's doing some texture coordinates, position coordinates, stuff like that, and then that's giving him his rendering positions. And then, yeah, he's got his own shaders, projection. I have to implement color here eventually. That's something I do need to do. Because if we render this text on screen, it's going to be white, and then we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do with it. Yeah, see, his does work. And then, of course, he does some other things. A lot of this is just to get his textures to render flat. We're using an orthographic camera to start with, so all of our stuff should render flat to start already. Then, of course, he has a compass he implements on here. As I said, they're making a Minecraft-style game. If we actually go down the bottom, what does their game actually finally look like? Okay, now that's a link to Gitbook. Cascading maps. So yeah, here's their game. It's getting a little bit more progressed. Yeah, so they remade Minecraft. This is one of the reasons why you see so many Minecraft clones out here, is there's so many tutorials telling you how to make the game. And I do plan to make my own Minecraft eventually, but it won't look like Minecraft. It'll look closer to like 7 Days to Die or Space Engineers. You'll have that much smoother voxel terrain is what I end up planning to do, but that isn't going to happen for a couple of years. So going back to the HUD, I don't see anything I'm not doing that they're doing. And then I'm using the same column math here, which gives me my UV. So my UVs are working. It's the problem is that they're not matching what they're supposed to match. So what happens if we minus this by 32? Better yet, let's do this real quick. I want to see what these numbers are. So our H is 72. Our E is 101. 108 is our L. 108 is our L. Our O is 111. then 72, which is, yeah, it's going to recycle back through all the way again. Where's our text at? Okay, I want to put a space in front of this. So we know that our 0 position is a space. We know that. Let me reload real quick. It trimmed it. Or did it not reload properly? Okay, let's stop it real quick. So we got that space in the front. And then we're going to run game display. Okay, we got an exclamation mark in the first slot. So what is our position data? Okay, so we're going to hit run debug. 32. So let's minus this by 32. Let's go ahead and remove our debug line. We're getting somewhere. It didn't give us our position though. Okay, let's try, instead of minusing it by 32 there, so if it says our starting position is 32, what we can do up here in our for loop is we can start at 32. Yeah, I think that'll work. It doesn't get us any closer. So what do we got? So our space is rendering as an exclamation mark. It's only one tile over. Then our H, which is our next tile, is rendering as a cent sign. If I pull this over here, because this is what I'm looking at. Where's the cent sign in here? Trying to figure out how far off are we. My brain is just derping on me today. I can't recognize where the cent sign is at all in this document. So I see the special characters at the bottom. Don't see it in there. Okay, it's right here. So we're down here, but we want to be all the way up here. So how do we get that huge of a transition? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10. Okay, it's 9 because I always, when I count in Spanish, I always fuck up. So that's 9 to there. Where's that cent sign again? Okay, it's right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 9 down. Okay. That is interesting. So maybe I just need to switch my columns and rows. Okay, let's go back to the game real quick. Our S, which should be an E, so it's a small s. So we're here. That's down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is. So we just found the pattern why this isn't working. Something is not reading correctly in here. So how this should read is 0, 1, 2, 3, something, something. Well, yeah. I could be understanding how this is read in wrong. It could, instead of reading row then column, it could be reading column then row. So it goes column, 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 column. The easiest way to do this is we just switch our rows and columns. So we go row, and then we go column. We close this, and if we run it again and it works, then we're right. We are really close. We got H on the one there. Okay, we're now at U. So where's my texture sheet again? So we now ended up at U. We're one row down. And we did the double W mark, which if we go to our L's, right here, double W. So we're one row down by some weird reason. We're one row down on everything, if you notice this. So I hate doing this, but if we just doctor it by how many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16. So we're half so we're down by 16. Okay. We just need to minus this by 1, and we're good enough. I got to figure out why this is reading incorrectly, but if I get text rendering on the screen, that's all that matters for the moment. It doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be beautiful. Those things can be handled later down in the development process. And close. Somehow we got to an 8 for some reason. Open that back up. What is an 8? Where is 8? 8 is here for some reason. Okay, that doesn't make sense because H was correct the first time. Our space is correct now. So that wasn't the pattern. It did fix these ones, so it did fix these guys. It didn't fix H for some reason. Something's wrong. So what we're going to do, I'm going to read this all back in from 0 position, and I'm going to remove this. And if it just magically starts working, then we know that our attempt to doctor it was not correct. There's the H again. So the H is on the right position. We're back to these guys being off by a row. So what are we doing wrong? Could have been our UV positions might be wrong. Because our UV positions assume that we're at a certain point. But then they're working for the H. This is the reason why programmers end up getting paid a lot, is because these are the issues we run into. So we know our H is in the correct position. That means we're on row 3, column 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're on column 8, row 3. What is the character again for this? Where's our debug? Our debug's down here. So we're going to run debug real quick. I want to get the numbers here. So character 32, that's our space. Character 72 is our H. Now if we open up our CV data, I want to see what this data matches. It says 11. is our width. Okay, I'm hoping what I'm looking for in here is that there's some kind of offset position, something that tells me where things are in the sheet. I'm not seeing that. There's nothing in here that tells me where stuff is. So there's just a width, there's a width data set. And as useful as that is, that's not actually going to help me any. Here's our entire thing, so 32, 72, 118. Let me get a notepad and write that down, so I don't have to debug it again. So 32, 72, 101, 108. It actually reminds me of programming in like really crappy programming languages that required you to output characters this way. So our mesh value gives us mesh 127 for some reason. Oh no, our mesh is 127 long? That doesn't seem right. Where are our meshes initialized? It's a byte and length, so it's 255. Come in handy if we actually do this properly. So we would hit issues if we try to do like some of the max value characters here. So we're still hitting some problems here. So we open this. Oh shoot! Did it crash? Yeah, it crashed my crashed paint. So H is 72. Now we know each of these rows is 16, so that's 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. So 41 plus 32 gets us our 72 mark. So maybe it is reading from left to right? Because this would be 30, this would be 32 here, 33. No, I think I need to come back down here and switch these back around, because I think these are correct. Something's wrong though. Okay. And if we start at 32 and then run this again. Nothing changed. Okay, so if we put it in the index with plus 32, let's try that. Yeah, forgot about that. That gets us where? So our first one's a space, it looks like it's working. Our next one is an H, but we're getting an I. So we're back to being like bizarrely off no matter what we do. We try to render an E, we're down here to an R. It doesn't make sense. So it's either something's incorrect. You know what, I'm going to get rid of this here. We're going to go to int index equals 32. We're then going to go index plus plus. We're going to switch this to int row equals 0. Row is less than sheet dot rows. I don't even know what happened there. Okay, so we got that. So we got rows, and then we got columns. If we do it this way, then we know for sure that we're iterating properly through the rows and the columns. We're not trying to use some math that could be skewed or something could be wrong that is resulting in our equation or algorithm here not running properly. So we're going to go back to here. Okay, so we got an index array out of bounds. What we're going to do is go find our tool that we exported stuff with. So we found
How's
out
it going?
Microphone activated.
slow and brutal. So the normal.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to get this text to render, and it's not going as planned. Okay, so we're going to try this. File, save. Yeah, I'm trying to do something. There's libraries for what I'm doing, but I'm trying to do this by hand, and it's just not going as planned. Okay, so we got all that data. And hopefully that BF file I just saved, I can open back up. Okay, let's hit cancel here. So if I do that, what is BF examples? Oh, that's how to load his stuff. You know what? Let's open this up actually. Notepad. Do. Projection matrices, load identities, set color, set cursor. How is he loading this? So he's loading in framework.h, and then he's loading in bitmap font class.h. So let's actually start opening this stuff with Notepad. This is where it pays off that I actually can read C code now. Not that it's too different from Java. Open with, choose another app. Okay, let's screw that code. So we're gonna go back to open this up, and we're gonna go File. Can we load? We cannot load, so we're just gonna have to remember how to do this stuff. So we're gonna go here. So we now fixed it to the 0 position.
Microphone muted.
So that means I can now set my index to 0. And we're gonna run this again. No, now we're getting all kinds of I don't know what. God damn. Excuse my language. This has not exactly been an easy process. So, you know what? We did not resave it. So we got our PNG, and we need to go and open this. So we got to edit this. Edit, and we want to file save as, and we just want to transition this to a PNG so it will load. And then it saved a folder up, so we'll have to go folder up real quick and grab it. Place and destination, and maybe that'll fix it? Maybe? Oh, we're still back to the it doesn't know what it's doing thing. Okay. Let's actually move this folder over here so it's out of the way. Okay, so the first character theoretically is doing the correct position. Our H is rendering as some kind of squiggle. So we'll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to that squiggle, I think? Not the right squiggle. Ah, there we are. No, it's 9. So we're back to having an inverted coordinate plane here. Let's check that with V. So V is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down from the top. It's also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 from the side. So if we flip those two, we don't get E. E is literally a diagonal from V for some reason. But how many characters are they apart? Well, that wouldn't make sense in H's case either. This is a cluster. Okay, so something's not working right. I don't know what it is. Let's get rid of this code. I actually don't need this anymore. So if we start at our first row and we read across, it wouldn't matter which way we read this. It still should read in the same. So 0, 0 should still be 0, 0. 0, 1 should still be 0, 1, no matter if we invert the columns or rows. They're the same. Wait. I see a mistake here. Well, that changed things. Index out of route bounds exception, 250. This is a dirty trick that nobody should ever use. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Double A, S, our squiggle still there. That should be a space, but it's not, and I can't tell what the hell that is, because it's just a box. It's probably like emojis is what those are. So we're back to the columns and rows being inverted. Could it be my UVs are inverted? Maybe? Because this position data should be good. So if we go look at L. L is right there. And we need to find the squiggly A. Yeah, that looks like it's inverted columns and rows. That means, let's bring this over by the way. So this squiggly A, L both look like they're rough positions. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to invert these. I'm going to invert these. And I'm trying to think of exactly how to do that without completely messing my code up. Let's actually change these. So the way these actually are being read in is this way. And this is probably why I'm getting confused. So we're reading it from the X position and we're going from left to right. And then once we hit the end of the row, we go down to the next one. This needs to be on the outside. This will probably fix it. I just realized that it doesn't matter which way we're reading it. It's working. Now I just need to make sure to check if the uppercase is in the correct context and then we're good to go. Ah, man. You don't know how satisfying this is that this works properly. I've been toying with this for this morning, yesterday. I toyed with it a little bit the day before, although a little bit the day before was prototyping. So when we go to render our text, we are indeed so it's working. So now what we need to do is render the whole alphabet pretty much. We're going to scale this down when we do this though. So we're going to 2F. We're just going to do this real quick. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. So we're going to do that. This will test if my scaling code works on top of that, if I can render all the letters. Oh, they're there. They're impossible to see, but they're totally there. There's a break right there where that character is. I think somebody screwed, or I say somebody, I mean me. Where's the character code? Yeah, it's here somewhere. Yeah, right here, effect layer. This should be entity layer. It tells me blending isn't working properly. Oh, yeah, a lot of stuff isn't working properly. Target selection. Yeah, 'cause that's the thing. The GUI layer should render above everything, and it's not. One, we can't scale this text down that small, so I'm going to go back down to wherever my scaling code is. So render method. Here it is. So we're going to do 0.5. 0.5 seems to be working for most of my GUI components. The scaling code is not perfect. Literally what the scaling code does is it changes the mesh. So each of these has basically a quad-based mesh that has two triangles that renders it. And these components are 0.5, these components are 0.5, and that's pretty good, but got to figure out why the selection thing is rendering over everything. Probably got to play with my alpha transparency code, maybe. It's the same reason, though, if you go down here and you notice how this stuff is not rendering properly either. I should see my cursor behind this. It's not as big of a deal because, to be honest, I really don't care if I can see stuff behind here, but it is telling me there's something wrong with the code. Because I should be able to, hold on, let me move this around. See, if you look at the alpha transparency for the GUI, it is totally picking up on stuff behind it, but the cursor isn't being picked up, and I don't understand why. Maybe it's order of operations, like what gets rendered over what. That might be it. I'm gonna go play with my shader real quick. Give me like 2 seconds here while I change the shader. So resources, data. I'm slowly learning how these shaders work, and the original author of this shader, because I'm pretty much using his shader and I haven't changed much, he's got a discard here. Anytime you have any alpha value, it discards it. But what if I change this to equals 0? Some of my stuff literally does not have a pixel there. So if we run this, it fixed it. So they're right there where that cursor is. There's stuff that is not there pretty much. So that's going to fix that. That's going to probably fix the characters if they ever had issues. So we did that. But because I got the font done and I promised Gauger I would go play with them as soon as I got done, I'm going to go transition over to that. But I'll make some more videos here later. Not sure what I'm going to be doing next, but more videos later.